Guys, what's up? It's Matt with 86 Gaming, and we're going to be taking a look at Thermaltake's Versa C22. Now, it's a budget tower they announced sometime earlier this year, and I didn't see too much on it, so I definitely wanted to pick one up, and my nephew was like, hey, that looks cool. It looks like a Stormtrooper Cylon looking thing, and he wanted to build his Ryzen budget build we'll be building with this. So stick around in this video too, because I'll show some of the completed looks of it as well before I do the actual Ryzen build, where we're doing a Ryzen budget build coming up shortly here after this, using this chassis. I do want to start off by saying this kind of missed on a lot of levels for me. This just wasn't what I was anticipating, and I felt a little bit led to believe it had some different than it did features about it. For about 70 bucks, you would expect something maybe a little more than what you got here, and for the price range of about $70, I would say that this probably wouldn't be my top pick. I wouldn't not recommend it, but I wouldn't recommend it over things like NZXT's S340, for instance, when you can get such a good tower for such about the same price. Anyways, let's move on, take a few looks at it, and talk a few things about it, and then we'll go into showing you what it looks like with all the RGB lights on. Because we'll take that one with a grain of salt, because they're not true RGB lighting. It's not some 16 million color cycling lights that you can pick and decide and choose from. But anyways, let's take a look at it. So what I saw when I was first looking at it was what appeared to be tempered glass, with nothing that stated it was acrylic or tempered glass or anything. Well, that should have been a clear sign to me that it probably wasn't tempered glass, because usually a company with tempered glass is going to want to say it's got tempered glass. Now, the whole appearance and illusion of it is that this acrylic panel right here that I've left wrapped up in all this fancy stuff appears to look or represent the imagery of a tempered glass side panel, but it is not. So just make sure you know that. What's the problem with acrylic? Well, over time, a lot of micro scratches when you wipe dust off of it, things like that are going to show up, and it's just going to look really ugly over time. That's just how that kind of works out. I've had plenty of acrylic panels. I'm sure most of you have as well too, but that's just something to keep in mind. Now, and not actually being glass kind of means that over time, you're just going to get that sort of ugly, scratchy look to it. On top of that, it's really dark acrylic side panels. So if you want to put a lot of lights in there, make sure you put a lot of bright lights in there, because you're not going to be able to see everything very awesomely. Some things that we'll talk about: we do have a shrouded basement. This was a cool plus to me. I like shrouded basements. We got a vent right here for the fans, and this way that you can have your intake pulling down, or you can even flip it, I believe. We'll find out if I'm wrong on that in a little bit. You can flip it so you can have your intake pulling up from the ground, where there are dust filters. Now, it should be mentioned that it has dust filters. While they're not super impressive, they're a little flimsy clip-in dust filters, but that's something at least. They could have just completely left the dust filters off. Now, what else we're looking at here is we got these rubber grommets on the inside, and surprisingly, there's not a rubber grommet up here, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rubber grommets on the back and 1 rubber grommet on the basement shroud for routing your cables. However, you'll kind of find that they're not the best or most conveniently located rubber grommets, and some of them are just actually completely strange of where they are. We do have plenty of room to put your 2.5 SSDs. With a little bit of extra work, you can fit probably more than is intended in there, but you can fit them on the back panel around over here. You can put one right here on this tray. You can even mount them inside over here. So that's something that's pretty cool, and you know, being a mid-tower case offers a lot of SSD support. One thing I did notice was this inside chassis just appears to be a repurposed thing that they're getting rid of. It's pretty flimsy. It's not super awesome construction. I'm not a huge fan of it. We have the 5 1/4 drive bays up here, which, you know, you have no access to, which just screams that this is just reused stuff, that they're trying to make something and send it out there. So that, it was just strange to me. Why would we have this unless that was the case? There is nowhere up here for you to open up and utilize a 5 1/4 drive bay. So plenty of mounting. If we wanted to put liquid cooling, it is designed for liquid cooling, and you have places to put your radiators at the top, radiators in the front. I'll put more specifically in the description below what radiators you'll be able to put in there. We've got our simple cables here. We've got 2 for USB, 1 for your 3.0, and we've got your pin headers. But in order to use the lighting on the tower itself, we have to utilize Molex. So if you want to go with a fully modular power supply and you don't want to use Molex, then unfortunately you'll have to use Molex in order to utilize this. So if you're not somebody that wants to use Molex, well, you're going to have to if you want to be able to utilize the lighting that's on the case itself. It does light up in the front here as well as on the top, and they're like giant dots. If you haven't seen any pictures or images of it yet, I'll make sure and show you that in this video when we get to it. Going kind of from brain here on what we want to talk about. Anyways, you know, just kind of looking at a few things. I wish we had a dust filter up here. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you want to go liquid cooling with radiators, there are better cases for a better price out there than this, but it's not bad. Airflow in it is not going to be optimal. You know, that's my guess. I'm going to go with that. We've got a completely closed off front while it's kind of an open area up in the front up here. I don't know if you can see that very well. Hopefully I got some shots to show you. We're looking at a very closed off intake area with one 120 exhaust and some side vents that are a little bit lackluster up here. Some of the problems with the aesthetic of the case is we've got the glossy black, and just for me touching it and spinning it, I've got handprints and I've got all kinds of oily prints all over it because I have, you know, human oils and whatnot. And it's just not very pretty. I don't really like the whole glossy black thing, or glossy really anything. Glossy white you can get away with a little bit better, but not so much a glossy black. We have these blue horns that glow up here, and they're not necessarily my favorite aesthetic either. When we kind of got that Stormtrooper look where these lights all light up. And something to mention about the lights is there's no static single solid color. They all have functioning phases, whether it's a pulse looking function, whether it's just a breathing function, a transition function. You can't just have, if you want it to be a solid red color, you can't just have solid red, which is something that's frustrating and pretty disappointing to me, and I wish was different, but that's just kind of what we get. Thermaltake also gave this an award for liquid cooling. Well, the thing is, it's Thermaltake's own product. What makes me want to believe their own award for it? That's like me saying this is the best YouTube video you'll ever watch on YouTube because I certified that this is the best YouTube video. Would you believe me? Hell no. Some of you will probably let me know down below how you didn't think so anyways. We've got two 3.5 dry bays down here with the toolless entry, and that's where we'll find our bag that has the stuff that we're going to use to put stuff together with. And that's something that's nice. You know, having toolless is great. There were no hanging thumb screws. We didn't have any ability to just make sure we didn't lose our screws by we unscrew them and they stay with the panel. Nope, they come right off. So make sure you're keeping up with those. And it would just been nice to have seen keeping with the times moving forwards with new products, not recycled interior, lightweight. It's too much money for what it is. Products, and that was unfortunate to me. At the top we have USB 2.0 and USB 3.0. We have two 2.0s and two 3.0s, as well as our audio in jack and our headphone jack, which are, let's find out, which at least the audio in jacks are not that ugly pink and green, and actually kind of maintain the color scheme of the outside here with just a brass looking ring so that you're not looking all, you know, weird. You know what I'm talking about? You get that nice case and then you've got that ugly pink and green audio input and it just looks terrible, and I don't like that. We'll find out how working in this case is too, so let's roll into that now. We'll start putting it together. I won't go over the build log in this, but I will be putting into this soon, and we'll just go ahead and go over what it was like. Was it a good experience? I can predict no just looking inside of here, but you know, hopefully we're gonna hope for the best and find some stuff out. We do have some feet at the bottom here that are nice rubber feet to kind of help it stay on the desk. Oh, and apparently another, I don't know how I missed that, another little clip-in dust filter there. So let's get to taking a look at what it looks like. How did I feel about working in this tower? Guys, I'm going to tell you honestly, I just didn't like working in this tower. So that's kind of where I wanted to do it. I wanted to finish my conclusion at the end of the video and say what I thought. A lot of cramped spaces, a lot of cheap construction, not really the best experience I've ever had working in a tower. And maybe in the future I hope for a little bit better, and especially when you consider something for about 70, 80 bucks like this, you kind of hope for a little bit better the way that things have been going and the trends. But I mean, that's how I feel.